Buenas tardes y bienvenidos a la segunda semana. So welcome to week 2. As you notice, week 2 actually opened up before week 2 begins. That's to kind of give you a little bit of overlap to start working on things that you may want to be working on, but definitely to give you an idea of what you're going to be having in the upcoming week. Okay, and so technically week 2 is not up yet, so you will see this slightly different. You'll have your semana 2, capítulo 1, el 22 al 28 de agosto folder, and you'll see right now it says items not available, but it will be available on August 19th. Okay, so the specific objectives for this coming week is being able to make small talk about yourself, including information about your occupation, profession, your origin, nationality. You'll be able to talk about the weather, state what you like and dislike, be able to ask and answer questions related to how others feel, okay, and how they are, and be able to identify some differences between cognates and false cognates. Okay? And so to complete these objectives, you will be taking a grammar quiz on the material in my Spanish lab. You are going to be working on 2 different dialogues. You'll have dialogue 1 due August 24th by 11:59 p.m. and you'll have dialogue 2 due on August 28th by 11:59 p.m. and you will have the same partner for both dialogues. Okay, you will read the textbook and complete the corresponding My Spanish Lab activities. There's also a vocabulary quiz in Blackboard. Okay? And also do not forget to log your 2 hours of language and cultural contact. So as we enter the Semana 2 folder, we see that again we have our to-do list. Okay? And again, just like you saw in Semana 1, you will see that there is a more detailed plan broken down into activities in My Spanish Lab that you will be doing along the way. Okay, and so you can read through this. Everything again is due by August 28th by 11:59 p.m. except for the first dialogue, which is actually due on that Wednesday by 11:59 p.m. Okay, and so you will be watching, as you're listening to me, you're watching this video de bienvenida a semana 2. Okay, and here again is a breakdown. You have your plan. Okay, and this week we will finish capítulo 1. We will be covering pages 8 through 32. Okay. Here is your vocabulary quiz, Vocabulario Semana 2. So if we click on that folder, you'll see here's a reminder of how to do accents and tildes. And when you're ready to take your quiz, which is based on words associated with health on page 31 of your textbook, you will click on this link to take the quiz. Okay, so it tells you that you will be given 10 words in English. You'll write the translation in Spanish. You'll include accent marks and definite articles. And I will be grading this quiz manually. Okay? So if we go back to Semana 2, here is where you're going to find the 2 online oral dialogues, 1 and 2. And so we click on 1. It will give you every time the general instructions and objectives, and then you will see the more specific instructions along with 2 different links to the rubrics on how you will be evaluated. And this first one is a diálogo entre un paciente y un enfermero, or una paciente y una enfermera. Okay, and so I will be assigning you partners by August 19th. Okay. A scenario, you're going to imagine that you are a patient speaking to a nurse. So one person will be a patient, one person will be the nurse. You will use expressions you learned on pages 2 through 5, as well as appropriate titles, which you learned on pages 6 through 8. And you will be running through this conversation twice. Okay, so if you were in a group of 2, one person will be the patient the first time and the nurse, and then you will switch roles for the second time. Okay. Only one person using Google Hangouts will need to record the conversation, but you want to make sure you send that link to your partner because you will both have to submit the link in Blackboard to get credit. Okay? And to do so, you will click on the diálogo, and there's actually an add comments, and there you will copy and paste your YouTube link. Okay? So you want to make sure the following elements are in your dialogue. Okay? You want to use appropriate greetings, introductions, name, nice to meet you, how you're doing, as well as appropriate farewells. So this will be a very short conversation, as you will not have not much information. Okay? Now, if we end up with an odd number of students, which we currently have, there will be a group of 3, and that group of 3, one person can decide to do it twice. Okay, so person A can decide to work with person B individually and person C individually. And if that person decides to do that, then he or she will copy the link they prefer me to grade in their spot. Okay, and I think that would probably be the easiest way to do it, because what I do need is for everybody to have done the patient and have done the nurse. Okay. Below this, you have the video again on how to use Google Hangouts on Air, and so you can watch that. But you definitely want to get a hold of your partners sooner than later, as this first conversation will be due Wednesday, August 24th by 11:59 p.m. Okay. The second online dialogue, okay, and again, you have the general information, and you have your scenario. You have, again, the 2 links on the rubrics that will be used to grade you. This one is a diálogo entre nutricionista y un paciente diabético. Okay. And again, like before, you will have to play both parts. Okay. So one person is a nutritionist talking to a diabetic patient. You're going to be using the vocabulary, structures, and expressions that you learned on pages 14 and 15, on pages 25 and 26, as well as 28 for reference. Okay. You'll have greetings again. You will have introductions. You're going to have to ask the patient what his or her name is. How does he or she spell his first or her first and last name? What he or she likes to eat, how he or she is feeling, and then appropriate closings and farewells. So it's going to be a pretty brief conversation, but it will have a lot of questions, and then the patient is responsible for supplying the answers. Just like in Diálogo Uno, in the first dialogue, one person will be responsible for recording the conversation, but both need to submit the link in YouTube. Okay, so if we go back to semana 2, we will see that there is also recursos, which are some extra resources for you to use while you study the materials. Okay. So please let me know if you have any questions regarding semana 2, y les deseo buena suerte.